Hey there, John with the Honest Accountant here, and welcome to the Level Up Your Creator Business series. Over about the next 10 episodes or so, we'll be going over various topics that we've seen various creators encounter as they get into treating their content creation as a business. So come on in, join us as we play a few games, and yeah, hope you enjoy the ride and let us know if you have any questions. Let's get into it. All right, let's get into some golf here. So the first thing we'll kind of be talking through is understanding self-employment and estimated taxes. And, if you're starting to make money, oh man, as a creator, there's some things you need to know before the IRS kind of comes knocking. The IRS won't be withholding taxes for you. They now rely on you to do that. As a business owner, you've got to start understanding these rules. You're not going to be doing it for you. You don't have an employer doing it. You're the one kind of in charge of that. What you know about this can cost you, and we have seen it surprise some of our clients in the past and gotten them on a good track. But yeah, maybe this could help you beforehand to help maybe minimize or avoid any sort of surprises. Hold it. But yeah, as a content creator, as someone venturing out on their own, doing this sort of thing for a living, as you start making money with it, you're considered self-employed in it by the IRS's standards. And then there is something that's like an additional tax on top of your regular income tax called the self-employment tax. It's basically how you pay into Social Security and Medicare, just like your employer would if you had a regular paycheck. But this total, it has to come from the business as both basically the employee and the employer. So you've got to pay the full 15.3%. Now that's like on top of, like I said, your original income from the business. So yeah, you basically pay the full share of that tax versus sharing with the employer, because you are the employer now. Unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately. Yeah, what are estimated taxes? And so the IRS is pay-as-you-go system. So they want you to pay in as you earn the money and not just at tax time when you go to file your taxes. And so the system that they've set up to do this is these quarterly estimated taxes. Now these deadlines are a little wonky. They don't follow like a traditional quarterly schedule. So Q1 payment is actually April 15. So if you owe taxes on April 15 for, say, the prior year taxes, and then you've got quarterly taxes for the current year, they can fall on the same date, unfortunately. But that's the first quarter payment. The second one is June 15, so like only a couple months later. And then you've got September 15, and then it jumps to January 15 for the Q4 payment for the prior year. So like for 2024, that would be January 15 of 2025. That almost. There we go. It's good to be making sure you pay in on that on a quarterly basis, because there are payment penalties if you like underestimate or don't pay the quarterlies on time. Now, they're not gonna knock down your door on the 20th of April. Hey, you need to pay us those. But it will be tacked on as like an extra penalty on your tax return at the end, or when you go to do your taxes. So that is something to be mindful of there. Might be a bill. There we go. But yeah, and so I guess the next question there is, who needs to pay those estimated taxes? And if you expect to owe $1,000 or more in taxes, then you will be required to pay in on a quarterly basis, or pay as you go. Because if you had a W-2, you'd be paying through your employer, but since you're self-employed, that's through the quarterly estimates. And so how do you calculate, how do you pay these quarterly taxes? Be the next logical question you have there. So you have a few options. One is you can use your last year's tax liability to base your payments off of. So basically, if you pay in 100% of the same amount of taxes you paid in the prior year, they won't get too upset about the estimating the proper total. There could be like late payment penalties if you don't pay, but generally, if you pay in the same amount you did in the prior year, they shouldn't ding you for estimating the wrong amount or anything like that. But yeah, so you can basically take what you paid in the prior year and use that as, and divide it by 4 and pay them for each quarter. Option 2 is then you could basically take your current year, like estimated income and expenses, if you got a way that you're tracking that and have an idea of where those numbers will land. You can basically take the net income, so take all your revenue less all the expenses, and then kind of estimate based on where you fall within the tax brackets, and thinking of the self-employment portion as well on top of that. For example, if your expected kind of net income is around 100 grand, you're probably safe in the 25 to 30% bracket. Now, obviously, this is just an example, and it would be very specific to your personal situation if you had any other sort of income sources to consider. you would withhold about 25 to 30% of that 100,000 and put it aside as you earn it, and then you're paying in like $62.50 a quarter. So for each of those days, for April, June, September, and January, you'd pay that $62.50, and then you're generally covered for that. But again, that's very specific to person's situation, and that's generally the method we use for a lot of our clients. You can get someone like our firm to help figure that out, or do that as a general guideline for yourself if you wanted to tackle that on your own. I have enough here. Let's see. To go long. Man, I am pushing it to still going long. And of course, you could use, the IRS will have some tools or two online that you could use to help you figure those out as well if you want something a little more concrete, if you will. But yeah, and then I guess from that, how do you plan for it? I think I alluded to it earlier, but set up maybe a separate savings account just for taxes and send whatever that percentage is of your net income every month. So after the month is over, income minus expenses, send 25 to 30% into that account. Consider tracking the expenses somehow. My preference obviously is using like an accounting software or something like that, but because that can help make sure you're tracking everything and don't forget about anything. But you could also use spreadsheets or some other form of tracking just to make sure you're keeping up with the regular expenses there. Consider setting up reminders for those due dates and just get it on the calendar to make sure you don't miss those when they come up. And then also you could work with someone like a CPA like myself who can help you navigate those waters more confidently and not have to worry about it as much. So here we go. Solid double for the 4-putt. But one thing to remember as you're kind of navigating this world of taxes and the creator business, you have to remember that you're a creative, but also you've got this business now. Understanding taxes and how that works is an important thing to know, and making sure you're staying on top of the deadlines and planning ahead to help avoid any sort of surprises. Those are no fun when they happen. let's enjoy just a few more holes of golf here, and then we will wrap up our episode. We take those. Need an extra club. Nice. Come on. Almost. So sorry about that. I guess we only get 15 holes of golf today, not 18. My streaming software or recording software cut me off there, but I appreciate you guys hanging out, joining us to learn a bit more about taxes, and as you move into this space, how estimated taxes and the self-employment taxes affect you guys as you get into making money here. But yeah, if you enjoyed it, if this provided some value to you in any way, please go ahead and drop a like or subscribe. And yeah, if you don't mind, leave a comment on there if there's, one tax question that you've always had but never asked. I'd love to help you out with that. Also, if this resonated you in a way of like, man, I need to do something about this now, check out the description and you can access a link there that will help you set up some time to chat with me. But yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Take care. Peace.